The storm rolled into Willow Creek at dusk, a brooding mass of clouds that swallowed the sunset and spat lightning across the horizon. Evelyn Harper stood at her kitchen window, the flicker of the tempest mirrored in her anxious eyes. Her heart medication Vital, non-negotiable, was supposed to arrive hours ago. The delivery app had pinged at 3:47 p.m., package delivered. Yet, her porch was empty, the welcome mat mocking her with its pristine vacancy. She'd checked every corner of her modest bungalow, even the overgrown hydrangeas that flanked her walkway, but the package was gone. In Willow Creek, where manicured lawns and nosy neighbors defined the rhythm of life, things didn't just vanish. Someone had taken it. Evelyn, a retired chemistry teacher with 32 years of wrangling teenagers under her belt, wasn't one to panic. But this wasn't just any package. The new dosage was critical, a lifeline for her arrhythmia, and her Medicare-covered prescription was her only shield against a hospital bill that could bury her fixed income. She refreshed the app again, the screen glaring back with a photo of the Packagea's small, white box nestled by her door. The timestamp burned into her mind, 3:45 p.m. She'd been at the door by 3:50. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and it was gone. Across the street, a curtain twitched. Evelyn's gaze snapped to the source. The pristine colonial of Margaret Maggie Thornton, the iron-fisted president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. Maggie, known to all but addressed by few as anything other than Miss Thornton, was a force of nature in a pastel cardigan. Her reign over the neighborhood was absolute, her clipboard a scepter, her bylaws a gospel. And there she stood, on her porch, cradling something white and rectangular. Evelyn's stomach twisted. It couldn't be, could it? The rain began to fall, a soft patter that promised a deluge. Evelyn grabbed her umbrella and marched across the street, her sensible loafers splashing through shallow puddles. She wasn't confrontational. By nature, decades of teaching had honed her patience, but this was her health, her life. She knocked on Maggie's door, the sound sharp against the growing storm. The door cracked open, revealing Maggie's face, her ash-blonde bob immaculate, her smile as thin as a razor. "Evelyn," Maggie said, her voice syrupy with false warmth. "What brings you out in this weather?" Evelyn forced a smile, though her pulse hammered. "Maggie, I think you might have my package. It was delivered to my house not 20 minutes ago. My heart medication." Maggie's eyes widened in theatrical surprise. "Oh my. Well, I did retrieve an unattended parcel from your porch. Per HOA Regulation 4.2, Section C, all deliveries must be secured within 15 minutes to prevent VUI sewer clutter. I was protecting the neighborhood's aesthetic." Evelyn's grip tightened on her umbrella. "Maggie, that package was delivered at 3:45. I checked at 3:50, and there's no such rule in the bylaws. I've read them cover to cover." Maggie's smile didn't waver, but her eyes turned flinty. "As president, I've proposed several updates to keep Willow Creek pristine. The newsletter last month outlined the new retrieval policy. Perhaps you missed it." "I didn't miss it," Evelyn said, her voice steady despite the anger coiling in her chest. "There was no mention of any retrieval policy. That package contains my medication, Maggie. I need it today." Maggie tilted her head, her expression a masterclass in condescension. "I'll need to verify its contents. We can't have contraband sullying our community. I'll present it at the next HOA meeting for approval. It's only 10 days away." Evelyn's jaw dropped. 10 days? That's absurd. That package is federally protected medical property. You can't just keep it. "Rules are rules, Evelyn," Maggie said, her tone dripping with smug finality. Before Evelyn could respond, the door clicked shut, Leah V.Y. Inger standing in the rain, fury and disbelief warring within her. She trudged home, the storm now a full-throated roar. Inside, she sank into her armchair, the weight of the situation pressing against her chest. Maggie wasn't just a busybody. She was dangerous. Evelyn had heard whispers at the community center packages going missing. Neighbors were VYing violation notices for infractions that didn't exist. But this was personal. That package didn't just hold her medication. It contained her Medicare details, sensitive information Maggie had no right to access. The next morning, the rain had cleared, Leah vying Willow Creek sparkling under a deceptively cheerful sun. Evelyn was watering her roses when she saw Maggie leave her house, a reusable tote bag slung over her shoulder. The bag sagged with the weight of several small boxes, their shapes eerily similar to the one Evelyn had lost. Her instinct screamed. This wasn't a one-off. Maggie was up to something. Evelyn wasn't a sleuth, but desperation sharpened her resolve. She grabbed her keys and followed Maggie in her old Subaru, keeping a discreet distance. Maggie's first stop was a pharmacy on Elm Street. She emerged 15 minutes later with a small paper bag. Then another pharmacy on Maple. Then a third on Cedar. At each, Maggie's routine was identical. In with her tote, out with a bag, her expression serene but purposeful. Evelyn's unease deepened. Maggie was fit, mid-50s with no known health issues. Why was she hitting every pharmacy in town? Back home, Evelyn called her pharmacy. The pharmacist, a kind woman named Linda, was appalled. Interfering with a prescription delivery is illegal, Linda said. And if she's got your Medicare info, that's a serious breach. I'd report it. Evelyn hesitated. Maggie's husband, Tom, was a retired deputy with buddies still on the force. A direct complaint might backfire. Instead, she dialed the Medicare fraud hotline, her hands trembling as she recounted the theft, Maggie's suspicious pharmacy runs, and the potential misuse of her personal information. The operator's tone shifted from polite to grave. Expect a call from an investigator. 2 days later, Evelyn met Special Agent Marcus Reed at a diner on the edge of town, far from Willow Creek's prying eyes. Reed was a wiry man with a calm intensity, his notepad already half-filled. Mrs. Harper, your report raised red flags. We've been tracking irregularities in Medicare claims in your area for months. Multiple accounts, all tied to Willow Creek, showing unusual prescription active tie. Your neighbor, Margaret Thornton, appears to be a common thread. Evelyn's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. You think she's running some kind of scam? We suspect she's intercepting deliveries to harvest Medicare data, Reed said. She may be using that information to file fraudulent claims or obtain medications for resale. Your case gave us a concrete lead. We're building a case, but we need more EVY denke. Can you sit tight and avoid confronting her? Evelyn nodded, though the idea of Maggie strutting around, unchecked, made her skin crawl. What about my medication? Already reissued, Reed said. It'll be delivered tomorrow, directly to your hands. We flagged your account for extra security. For the next 2 weeks, Evelyn played the part of the unassuming retiree, tending her garden and nodding politely when Maggie passed by, clipboard in hand, citing neighbors for infractions like excessive mailbox tilt or unapproved birdhouse height. But Evelyn noticed things. Unmarked sedans lingering on the street, Reed's face among them, discreet conversations with other residents. The net was tightening. The tension broke at the monthly HOA meeting, held in the community center's fluorescent-lit hall. Maggie had been relentless, flooding inboxes with reminders about her urgent agenda item, a new policy to formalize package inspections. The room was packed, a rarity for Willow Creek's apathetic residents. Evelyn sat near the back, her heart pounding as Maggie took the podium, her gavel rapping for order. Ladies and gentlemen, Maggie began, her voice dripping with authority. Before we proceed, let me remind you that recording this meeting via OLAT's HOA protocol. The door swung open. Agent Reed strode in, flanked by 2 officers. The room went still. Margaret Thornton, Reed called, his voice cutting through the silence. Maggie's composure cracked, her gavel hovering midair. We're in session. You'll need to wait. Special Agent Marcus Reed, Department of Health and Human Services VYCES, he said, flashing his badge. We have a warrant for your arrest on charges of Medicare fraud, identity theft, prescription drug trafficking, and mail theft. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Maggie's face drained of color. This is outrageous. I'm the HOA president. Reed's expression didn't flicker. Our investigation uncovered over 50 instances of you intercepting medical deliveries, using residents' Medicare data to obtain controlled substances for illegal distribution. We have pharmacy records, surveillance, and witness statements. Maggie's eyes swept the room, landing on Evelyn. You, she spat, her voice venomous. You set me up. I was protecting this neighborhood. Evelyn held her gaze, unflinching. You stole my medication, Maggie. You stole from all of us. The officers cuffed Maggie as she protested, her voice rising to a shriek. The bylaws. I have authority. This is a mistake. But the room was already buzzing, neighbors exchanging stunned whispers as she was let out, her reign over Willow Creek crumbling with every step. Reed addressed the crowd. Mrs. Thornton faces federal charges with penalties up to 20 years and fines overdue law $750,000. Medicare fraud is a serious crime. If anyone has information, contact my office. As the door closed behind Maggie, Evelyn exhaled, the weight of weeks lifting. The storm had passed, but Willow Creek would never be the same. The neighborhood had been cracked open, its secrets exposed, and Evelyn, the quiet retiree, had been the spark. She stood, slipped out into the evening, and smiled as the first stars appeared. Sometimes, even in a place like Willow Creek, justice found a way. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.